Okay, so we have our camera has solved our scene insofar as it's giving us all of those target points or track points rather that are attached to the scene. Maybe not depth because we're just getting that flat target, but if I take that target down, what I really want here, rather than being able to create depth, is I just want my text to match the movement of the camera. Now I'll show you how I can get around that lack of depth solving in a moment. Before I do, I'm just going to pick 3 points here and create text in camera. Okay, now it's giving me some nice big text. Take that down, way down, and what I'm going to do is so you'll see it's matched visually, it does match the movement of the camera, but if I wanted to get proper depth here, what I could do is slide that along there, slide it down there, and use the perspective that exists in the shot in this instance to try and kind of fake the camera's position in that 3D space. So I get my rotation tool, rotate around the x-axis. Actually, before I do that, I'll move it down there, and get my rotation tool, pull that down there, and zoom back out. And what I should be kind of moving towards is that. So that's not too bad. It's moving fairly convincingly along what would be a natural z-axis just by trying to match up the movement in z-space along those areas of perspective. It's not going to be perfect, but it should trick the eye. So the next thing I want to do is I want to just push that far enough back that it kind of looks like it might be coming from behind that wall here and coming out there, basically. So rather than apply the mask to the text, I'm going to create a solid, and can be any color, it doesn't matter. And what I'll do for the moment is switch it off, leave it highlighted, and get my pen tool. So again, I need to pretty much just find enough of the screen that needs to be masked that will cover the text's movement. So what I'll do is I'll pretty much take it from here and just map out where the text needs to be made visible. I'm not going for perfection here, I'm going for speed, so I'll follow that along. These can all be left at add because they're going to reveal the text rather than hide it. And this one requires just a little bit of just going for that nice detail. And you can always go back and modify these after. You could go after these guys as well if you were really going for that attention to detail, and I could also maybe cover this area here. Now once it gets out from behind, I mean, I can do some nice curves and stuff here and start revealing that as such. This is where you need to know how to control these Bezier lines. Okay, so let's just say that we want it to come out here. It might need to be obscure behind that, so I'll just quickly mask that off. And you can kind of go as big as you want then, give yourself a bit of room to play with. Okay, so now all that's done really is it's masked the green solid, but when I set my text to have alpha matte from green solid 2, you'll see that it changes the mask from being applied to the green solid to being applied to the text solid. So I can do I can fake an animation here and slide that out there. You can see it's going nicely behind everything. It's doing what I want it to do, and then it goes out into the open. Okay, so that's not looking too bad there. Now that's all well and good because it's on one frame. If I select that and if I were to move it along, then you'll see that it's no good. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that the mask moves with the camera, but masks can't really be tracked to cameras They're not actual objects that can be directly tracked, if you want to put it that way, but my green solid can. Now, because my scene has already been solved to map itself to the 3D camera, then really all I need to do is I need to involve that green solid into the scene as well, and that just means making it 3D. Now when it does, you might need to go back and realign it because it gets a little bit out of whack there with where it's supposed to be, but once you realign that, then okay, that's not too bad. Might need a little bit of tweaking, might need to be rotated slightly or something like that, you know, just to get it back into the scene. Oops. Okay, that's as close as I need it for the moment anyway. Now if I move it around, you'll see that it actually maps the solid, because the solid is really just a 3D object now, being, you know, the camera is seeing it as if it were a 3D object with a mask. So the mask, because it's attached to the solid, is going to move in 3D space with the movement of the camera. Now it's actually the text that will get the visual result of that, in that if I keyframe that now, I'll just do a keyframe on my text layer. I'll pull up the position property and give it a nice bit of time there, so that when a camera moves over there, then the text has gone over here. Okay, and you can see that now that it should, when I RAM preview that, you can see it kind of going where I need it to go. Now I seem to have hit some sort of a mask dead end there, but hope you all understood that. Okay, save. So we'll go again, it's rendered, so I'll just deselect the mask, and you'll see that it does now move behind, and it seems to reach, oh, it reaches the end of the solid. Okay, yeah. Now if I wanted to really ensure that this was going to hit all of the edges here, I'd have to expand the solid, make it much bigger before it goes to 3D, and then it should kind of allow me to, or switch it to 3D maybe before I apply the mask, so that I know that that solid is going to cover the entire screen. So that's something that I probably should have done there, rather than put the mask on the solid and then turn it into 3D. If I turn the solid into a 3D layer and then expand it so that it's big enough to fill the screen, then draw my mask, it would probably make more sense. Okay, and I might do that the next time I do it, but for now just take my word for it that that's probably what you want to do. So that is a track matte, and that allows you to do two things: to map a mask to a camera, a solved camera, and also allow you to apply mask information from one layer down onto another layer that happens to be moving.